2, not 4. Jeremy sat in his recliner with an ice-cold beer balanced against his stomach, while rain hammered the tin roof overhead. The old farmhouse groaned around him. Floorboards creaked softly. Wind rattled the windows. Thunder rolled somewhere far across the fields. Usually the sounds comforted him. The television muttered some game show he wasn't really watching, but the voices filled the emptiness enough to keep the silence away. Ever since his wife died 2 years ago, silence had become something alive inside the house. And after Lisa died, it became unbearable. "Lisa," he called absent-mindedly toward the kitchen. "Come here, baby doll." The words slipped out automatically. The moment they left his mouth, his smile vanished. His eyes drifted toward the old dog bed near the fireplace. Still there, still covered with pale yellow fur. Her collar still hung over the edge exactly where he'd left it, after burying her behind the barn 2 months earlier. Cancer. The vet said she hadn't suffered. Jeremy hoped that was true. He rubbed at his watering eyes angrily and forced himself upright with a painful groan. His back popped loudly as he shuffled toward the kitchen for his nightly routine. Every evening, he left food outside for stray cats. Didn't matter if they came or not. The habit made the house feel less lonely. He scooped wet food into a bowl while the storm outside intensified. Rain slammed against the windows hard enough to shake them. The lights flickered once, then steadied. Jeremy carried the bowl outside onto the back porch. Wind immediately soaked his shirt with cold rainwater. "Damn storm," he muttered. He set the bowl down and locked the back door behind him before heading toward the front entrance to check it too. The second he opened it, wind burst into the hallway. Rain whipped sideways across the porch. Jeremy stood there longer than he meant to, staring out into the darkness. Storms always made him feel strangely peaceful. The world looked cleaner during heavy rain. Then lightning flashed. For half a second, he thought he saw something sitting near the end of the driveway. A shape, low to the ground, watching the house. The darkness swallowed it before he could focus. Jeremy shook his head and locked the front door. Right as he reached to turn off the living room light, the power died. The farmhouse plunged into darkness instantly. Of course, he sighed. The old electrical system barely survived sunny weather, let alone storms like this. He grabbed a flashlight from the closet near the stairs and headed toward the breaker box. Before he reached it, the power snapped back on. Jeremy chuckled tiredly. "Guess you still got some life left in you." He turned toward the stairs. Scratch. The sound stopped him immediately. Faint scratching against the front door. Jeremy froze. Scratch. His chest tightened painfully. For a split second, he was convinced Lisa was outside again, wanting to be let in after chasing rabbits through the fields. Before logic could stop him, he hurried toward the door and opened it. A yellow Labrador sat on the porch, soaked from the rain, head tilted slightly, exactly like Lisa used to. Jeremy's breath caught in his throat. "Lisa?" The dog stared at him silently. No bark, no tail wagging, but grief does strange things to lonely people. Jeremy dropped to his knees and wrapped his arms around the wet fur while tears filled his eyes. "Oh my God," he whispered shakily. "Baby girl." The dog remained perfectly still in his embrace. He didn't notice that her body felt unusually cold. Didn't notice her chest never seemed to rise while breathing. Didn't notice her eyes never blinked. "Come inside," Jeremy said softly. The dog stood and walked into the house. No clicking nails against hardwood. No excited pacing. Just silence. Jeremy hurried to grab food and towels while the dog crossed the living room and stopped beside the old dog bed. It didn't lie down. It simply stood there staring toward the dark hallway closet. Jeremy smiled weakly. "Still scared of the vacuum cleaner, huh?" No response. He knelt beside her with a towel and gently dried her fur while speaking softly like he always used to. "You're freezing, sweetheart." The dog slowly turned its head toward him. Its eyes looked wrong somehow. Not aggressive, not angry. Just studying him. Jeremy's smile faltered briefly. Then the dog looked away toward the family photos above the fireplace. Photos of Jeremy, his late wife, Lisa. The dog stared at them for an uncomfortably long time. Jeremy's stomach twisted slightly. But loneliness is powerful, and grief makes people ignore things they shouldn't. Eventually, he turned off the lights and headed upstairs, smiling for the first time in months. That feeling lasted until sometime after midnight. Jeremy woke thirsty. At first, he didn't understand what felt wrong. Then he realized his bedroom door stood partially open. He always slept with it closed. Slowly, he reached for the lamp beside the bed and clicked it on. The dog sat in the hallway staring directly at him, completely motionless. "Lisa." The dog didn't react. "Come here, girl." Nothing. Then slowly it stood and walked away. Jeremy climbed from bed with aching joints and followed. The farmhouse felt colder now. Too cold. The television downstairs hissed with dead static. The grandfather clock in the hallway had stopped ticking. Jeremy descended the staircase slowly. The dog stood near the kitchen, staring toward the back door. Moonlight spilled across its soaked fur. Jeremy rubbed his eyes. For one brief second, reflected in the dark kitchen window, the dog looked too tall, not standing on 4 legs, standing upright. Lightning flashed outside. The reflection vanished. Jeremy laughed nervously. "Too much beer," he muttered. Then a cold wind brushed against his face. The back door stood open. Mud covered the floorboards. The dog walked outside. Jeremy followed immediately. Rainwater soaked his slippers as he stepped into the yard. The dog waited several feet ahead, watching him calmly. Then it turned and trotted toward the woods. "Lisa!" Jeremy shouted. The dog disappeared between the trees. Panic surged through him. He couldn't lose her again. Jeremy stumbled after it into the darkness. The woods felt wrong immediately. No frogs, no insects, no wind, only footsteps. At first he heard 4, then, eventually, 2. Jeremy stopped breathing. Ahead of him, deep between the trees, stood a tall figure. Far too tall? Its outline looked human, wrapped in wet fur. Its head tilted slowly sideways. Exactly like Lisa used to. Jeremy's stomach dropped. The thing turned toward him. Moonlight slid across pale yellow fur stretched over long human limbs. Then it spoke in a calm, familiar voice. "Why are you following me?" Jeremy staggered backward in horror. Behind him, something moved in the darkness. Slow. Heavy. 4 wet footsteps circled closer through the trees. The thing in front of him smiled wider. And suddenly, the woods were no longer silent.